Photo Voice by Juan Villagomez. Race and cybertypes online. When users are given no choice other than to select the race or ethnicity to which they belong and are given no means to define or modify the terms or categories available to them, then identities that do not appear on the menu are essentially foreclosed on and erased. In this presentation, I will be looking at Chapter 5 of Lisa Nakamura's Cybertypes, Menu-Driven Identities Making Race Happen Online. I will also be looking at an NPR When You're Mixed Race Just One Box Is Not Enough audio recording. For my first photo, I wanted to look at the census and see how it treats racial identities in comparison to that of the internet. I noticed that even in the census, as open as it may seem, it was still limited in terms of multiracial identities. I also noticed that the census doesn't know the proper way of including a Latinx demographic. This can lead to improper representation of these groups, and thus erasing many of them. Fewer people counted themselves in some specific Hispanic origin groups, Mexican for example, when those groups were not offered as checkboxes. Some civil rights advocacy groups have expressed concern that all possible all-in-one race and Hispanic question could result in diminished data quality. For my second photo, I wanted to see how social media sites treat racial identities. I noticed that Facebook doesn't give you the option to put down a race or ethnicity. Nakamura states that on the internet, people are free from racial identities, though people can still assume. On Facebook, people can still see your face and your name, meaning you are not completely anonymous. Not on Facebook. Facebook's last year was under fire for revealing that advertisers could, in essence, target or exclude users by race through ads. If Facebook is supposed to be free from racial identities, then how are they still categorizing people? Next, I wanted to look at other sites who also exclude race and ethnicity as an option. I looked to the professional employment site LinkedIn. Supposedly, there is a benefit to hiding one's race in the hiring process. This is to avoid discrimination. But just like Facebook, people on the site can still see your name and a photo if you choose to upload one, which the site insists you do. This benefit really only benefits those who are passing in both name and appearance. Next, I wanted to look at sites that actually use racial identities. I went to the well-known dating website Match.com. Match requires you to put down a race and ethnicity. As inclusive as Match may be, there is still no escaping discrimination. Due to the nature of its users, people can still use your race or ethnicity to discriminate, disguising racial bias for a preference. Stereotypes and lack of multiracial representation in the media as part of the likely reason that plenty online daters have had discouraging experiences based on their race. Next, I asked myself, can the internet truly be anonymous? In my research, I found it truly difficult to do this. There are significant racial identifiers that make being anonymous impossible. What I found is that people will assume a person is white until proven otherwise. The internet is transitioning to a new era where concealing your identity online is less and less prevalent. You are no longer a username. You are more your Facebook name and maybe a Twitter handle. My conclusion. The Internet is undoubtedly a powerful tool in the quest for democracy and fairness, yet there exist racial biases within its interface. Where the census tries to categorize people into races and ethnicities, the Internet excludes the option to remain anonymous, or rather to avoid discrimination. People cannot discriminate in an anonymous world, but this idea is a delusion due to the nature of its users. It is nearly impossible for one to navigate the Internet without having to identify their race or ethnicity.